We've all received these amazing little plants as gifts throughout the years, and invariably a lot of us have thrown them away as soon as the flowers have died off, thinking the plant is dead. But as long as you still have those beautiful green, strong, fleshy leaves and some good root system going on, your plant is more than just alive, probably thriving. Just it doesn't have flowers at that time. So how do we get it to reflower once those are dead? Well, we need to look at the orchid itself and how we need to look after it so we can keep it in the best condition, so in the next flowering season it can sprout up those amazing blooms again. For one, Phalaenopsis from tropical areas, they like nice warm temperatures. So we want to keep them at around between 19 and 30 degrees Celsius to keep them growing at their best. They don't really like cold temperatures, so anything below 15 degrees we try and avoid. And in Fahrenheit, you're looking at probably around 69 or 70 degrees Fahrenheit up to about 80 degrees Fahrenheit or even 85. And you don't want to really keep them below 60 degrees. So basically, they're living in a fairly similar environment as to what we ourselves would probably enjoy. But the one thing that they do like along with that heat is the humidity. One of the ways that we can produce a nice little dome of humidity around them is by providing them with evaporation trays in and around their growing area, or even humidifiers, just to keep the humidity in that area suitable for your orchids. And along with those warmer temperatures, they prefer higher humidities too. Preferably in the range of around 70 to 80% humidity is where they'll thrive the most, but they'll actually almost accept humidity levels as low as about 55 to 60% as well. And we notice that this gives them actually quite a broad range of temperatures and humidity levels that they will accept, making them ideal for in your home. But in the home, it is often the lighting conditions that actually almost reduces the flowering potential of your Phalaenopsis. People often put them in a spot that is too dark, far away from a window, in a back corner somewhere, thinking that it's going to do okay. But as the leaves go darker, more emerald green, you know it's not getting enough light, and it probably won't flower again until you give it more light. So try and bring it as close to the window as possible without getting that direct sunlight onto it. They like a nice bright lit condition, and that's where they're going to do their best. So avoid that direct sun that will heat up parts of the leaf and give it those sunburn spots, which is what we really don't want on our plants. Not only is it damaging the leaf tissue, but it's also a bit unsightly. Also, by moving it close to those windows, you're probably going to get better temperatures for your plant as well, because not only does it like that warmer environment that will probably come from the sun coming through the window, but also at nighttime those temperatures will drop faster. And this is what is going to get your orchid to rebloom. For Phalaenopsis to rebloom, they really like to get a good 10 or 15 degrees Celsius drop in your day-night temperatures to help force that blooming. And you're more likely to get that closer to your window. That's going to allow the temperature variation. And also remember, once your orchids have finished blooming, this is the time that the actual growth of the plant is taking place. So Phalaenopsis don't particularly go through a rest period. They actually go through a growth period and then a flowering period. At this post-flowering period is the time they need to be fed. So ensure that you're giving it enough food, especially with that extra nitrogen, to help get all that top and root growth that you need. And that will give you a stronger plant that's going to give you stronger, bigger, and more flowers. And watering of your orchid is also an important factor. With Phalaenopsis, they don't like a drying out period. They don't want to dry out completely because they have no pseudobulbs that have stored all the excess water. They only have these large fleshy leaves. And as soon as you notice these leaves are starting to go leathery and flexible, you know you left the watering too long and it's time to increase your watering again. The best watering for your Phalaenopsis is often just once a week. A good solid flush through the pot to ensure that all the media is wet and your roots have gone that nice greenish color. And then invariably you can leave it for the rest of the week, allow that evaporation to take place, allow for the orchid to absorb all the water from the media, and then water it again. If your temperatures are on the cooler side, just watch your media. If your media is still staying damp, then rather hold back the watering for a few more days until you see your media start just drying out to the touch but not parching. And your watering, your humidity levels, and the temperatures all work in conjunction to each other. If you're having high humidity levels with the right temperature ranges and you're watering frequently enough, ensure that you have enough air movement, because if you don't have enough air movement, you are inciting all those pathogenic bacteria and fungi to really flourish. So air movement is another important factor to look at in your Phalaenopsis growing. That's why often it's better closer to that window where you can leave it slightly ajar to allow that fresh air movement to come through. Now that we've explained to you the growing conditions you need to keep your Phalaenopsis in to ensure that they're going to flower properly, and we've given you how to adjust the climate conditions around it to help force that flowering. Now let's look at that lazy man's cheat on how to get your orchid to flower for up to a year or possibly even longer. So it's often at this point when your orchid's looking like this, all the flowers are done, that people throw it away thinking the actual plant is dead. But indeed it's not. We can actually get these flower spikes to reflower. So let's just remove all of the stakes so we can have a better look. Let's have a look at what we can do with this flower spike to actually get more blooms out of it. Well, if we look closely here, we can see all these different nodes along the length of the spike. These all have the potential to produce another branch in the flower spike, and that will give us more flowers. So here we can see where the original flowers came off. Those have now been used up. Those aren't going to produce anything any further. It's only these ones that still have this little sheath that's over the top of the bud that has the possibility of continued growth. This was also a branched flower spike which has flowered already as well, but here again we see there's another little node there that hasn't opened. 1, 2, 3 of them. So we're going to show you where to trim them so that we can get more flowers out of this spike. Already we've had about 6 months worth of flowering out of this, and once we get these to rebloom again, we can probably get another 6 months, and if we continue this down further along the plant, we can get even longer. What we're going to do is we can see I used nodes here and here that had flowers on them already, and we have one viable node over there. So we're going to cut approximately 1 centimeter above it. There we go. Here again, we have all of these nodes that have not had anything happen with them. We can just trim that off like that. Yeah, that sheath has already gone brown. So we can just peel it away carefully to check that there's a viable bud underneath. There we go. We can see there is a viable bud. So what we're going to do is cut 1 centimeter above that as well. And it's going to be basically as simple as that. You can, if you'd like, just take a dab of cinnamon just to treat those open wounds at the ends to help seal up the cuts. That will stop any infection or anything getting into those. And then what we'll just do with these again is we'll stake them back up straight. And now we'll just wait to see which of these lateral buds then burst and give us more blooms. As I said, this is the lazy man's cheat method, and not something we do all the time. We will do this occasionally for some of our orchids just to keep them blooming, but invariably what we do is we'll go in right at the base and cut that flower spike off at the base to allow for fresh new flowers to grow in the following season. Because every time you do a trim like this and allow for the next lateral bud to burst, the number of flowers, the size of your flowers, and the strength of the flowers themselves is diminished. So as you go down, you'll notice your flowers will slowly get smaller and you'll get fewer flowers on each spike. And although this lazy man's method is not something we always do, it's still fun to do, and especially for beginners, it's a great way to introduce yourself to the reblooming of your Phalaenopsis orchids. And it keeps us excited in the growing of our plants. So anything that's fun and keeps you interested is well worth trying and doing. And also just a little bonus tip, when you're buying orchids as a gift for someone, always try and be sure to get as many top buds unopened on your Phalaenopsis as possible. This is to ensure that it's got longevity of its flowering, because they open from the bottom upwards. And the more buds you have on top, you know the longer your flowers are going to last in total. If you need any further explanation on these reblooming tips for your Phalaenopsis, drop a comment in the box down below and we'll be sure to get back to you. And all the other orchid growing advice is down in that Buy Me a Coffee link down below. Ed puts information there all the time on many different orchids related topics. We'd like to send out a special thanks to two amazing people for their support of the community and helping us make more content for everyone. Thank you, John Whittaker and Mary Kincaid, for becoming members. You too can help support the community in that Buy Me a Coffee link down below. Join up, become a member, and get access to all that members-only content as well to help you grow like a pro. Thank you for watching. If you found any of this information helpful, please hit the like button, hit that subscribe button down below, and that notification bell, bing bong, to be notified of all our upcoming content so you don't miss out on a thing. Help us grow as we help your orchids grow.